3, 2, 1. Laura.
Welcome to Be the Media, Huntington, sponsored by the Huntington View on Facebook. My name is Lori Toth, and tonight I'm joined by Dana.
Hi.
Welcome to Be the Media.
Powering off.
What happened?
You just got a little...
Well, we're so new. We were just, every time we have an episode, we're going to have some sort of silliness going on. We're still live. I was turning off my volume, otherwise we were going to hear echo the whole time.
Okay, so you know what? In case anybody got confused, I'm just going to start from the top. So again, welcome to Be the Media Huntington, sponsored by the Huntington View on Facebook. My name is Lori Toth, and tonight I'm joined by Miss Dana.
Hello.
And Lisa.
Hello, everyone.
And Jenny.
Hi, how are you?
So today is Sunday, September 10th. It is 2 days before a really very important primary concerning Huntington politics. It's this Tuesday. So tonight we'll be having a discussion on who is primarying, what parties, and who can and should vote this Tuesday. Make sense?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, so how's everybody doing tonight?
Good. I can't complain. I'm fairly well. I have no complaints.
Well, I'm sure that we're all a little bit, kind of ermined out. I hate to say that. It's been awful to watch. And I have all those people right in our thoughts and prayers. But I think maybe a lot of people could use a little bit of a break to kind of get back to not the national front, but again, like it's Tuesday. So it's really a great idea to get back to the localness of Huntington and the primary.
I totally have hurricane fatigue. I know that we've been looking at Irma right after Harvey, and now we possibly have this Jose coming for Long Island. So I'm ready to get back to the business of local politics without a doubt.
Cool.
I just want to wish my family and all my friends in Florida good thoughts, positive energy. We're here for them. And unfortunately, this is very important for our town locally, for Huntington, and we have to get on these elections. We have to inform the people of what's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so what's going on in the primaries?
I love what you said, Lisa, because we all do have a lot of friends and family and stuff, and tomorrow's September 11th, and I think that piece too, being that tomorrow is September 11th, is just sort of an example of what we're all dealing with, right? We're so inundated. We're all busy. We have lives. We have jobs. There's, geopolitical. There's these storms September 11th. But if we don't focus, right, on getting some information out, some people might not understand what's going on, who can vote, how can they vote. And, I'm really guilty of this. I feel like I need to take a little more time. I try to be responsible, to understand as much as I possibly can. And yet I feel sometimes like I can't keep up. Do you guys feel the same way?
I agree.
It's a lot.
Absolutely.
Especially if you don't really fully understand when it comes to primaries, who can vote, who can't vote, what is the purpose of the primary. There's a lot of underlining things that you need to be aware of. And sometimes people, like you said, they get busy. It's a lot of things going on. It's back to school, September 11th. And then also, some people just are too embarrassed to even ask the question, like, what does that exactly mean?
Great point.
So I think it's important for us to, especially for local politics, we need to understand what's going on, and we need to make sure everybody's aware.
We've said this several times too, like national politics, local politics, two completely different animals. One definitely impacts us more than the other, and all politics are local, so we really need to get back to it. You're right, September 11th coming up, and I've got a lot of family, Conch Strong down in the Keys. It's where I grew up, and it's been a horrendous day. It's still not over, but we've got some serious important matters coming on here too. And
Right.
Dana, great points. We've got to ask the questions that people are too scared to ask, but they want the answers to.
I would like to volunteer my ignorance. So I have been really, I guess, learning in sound bites and learning a little bit on Facebook. Um, I'm really interested in voting for Dom Spada. And I've been really upset about the shenanigans, about the challenging of Dom. And I really hope that tonight we can touch on that because I think it just harkens back to our very first episode where we talked a little bit about there really isn't a party. And I think that it is just, it's living proof
Well,
that
it
that
does,
is
and I think it's really important to get it out there that there are actually 3 primaries. Somebody brought it to my attention today that from the looks of it, it only looks like the Democrats are having a primary, and that's completely untrue. And in fact, there's one primary that we can all vote in, and I think that that's an important thing that we need to message that we need to get across to people tonight. But because there's only 3, I think that we're going to easily be able to incorporate speaking about some of the candidates as well. And like Lori was saying, the shenanigans, like just in 24 hours, I've received 3 phone calls from people who are not from Huntington urging me to vote in the primary. And that's concerning as well.
I think it's important if I run down a list for those people that are watching to know what parties we're actually really talking about, primary or not. So I just want to read that list really quick. Okay. So obviously, as you know, it's the Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Independents, Working Families, Reform Party, Conservative Party, Green Party, and Women Equality Party. I think I touched on all of them.
Did you get the Reform?
Yeah, she said Reform.
That's a big one because that's the primaries that we're having are on the Democrat line, the Independents line, and the Reform line. I will say, because if anybody wants to go back and review our first episode, we talked about the Party of One, but the Green Party, did you touch on that one? The Green Party is actually responsible for a lot that's going on with the new information I've garnered with the Reform Party, but they are the only party right now in New York that will not allow a cross endorsement.
The Green Party.
Yes, on their party line.
That's what we want. That's important.
Yes, very important.
Yeah, I don't know enough. Why do we think that that's important about the cross endorsement? Maybe you just need to touch on that again so people can understand what exactly you mean and why is it a bad thing.
Well, it confuses voters, for one. It places somebody's name on the ballot multiple times, and it's basically a way of people who are involved in politics of running numbers. They know, if you want to put it plain and simple, they know that if you get the independence line, it comes with a specific amount of votes. If you get the Reform line, you will get a specific amount of votes, especially in a close election. They start getting very nervous about these small parties. And I think that there's a lot of nervousness going on based upon what I have seen so far and heard so far. I believe primaries are very healthy for within your own party. So like what's happening on the Democratic line. So I guess, do we just want to take it from party by party, which primary that we're having, and start with the most obvious? Let's start with the biggest one. We will be having a Democratic primary. So if you are registered as a Democrat, you will be able to vote on Tuesday for either Tracy Edwards or Daryl St. George. They are both vying for the Democrat line. If Daryl St. George does not win, I don't believe he has any other party line, so he would no longer be in the election. Tracy, if Tracy was to lose the Democrat line, she would still have the independence line as well as the working families line, so she would still remain on the ballot.
Now, who is Jeremy Grossman? Because he's listed on the Green Party line.
I have no idea.
These people's names just pop up. I've never even heard of these people. He's listed on the Green Party line.
I don't
You
know
can
who that
see,
is. I never heard of him.
For Huntington?
you can see that right here. Yes.
Yeah.
Is this clear?
That's interesting. I actually like having a lot of choices, as many choices as possible.
Those are a lot of choices.
Well, a lot of choices, I'm sorry to interrupt. A lot of choices, I think, kind of rigs the number game, right? So if
That's what
you're,
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
if you're looking at getting those course endorsements just to keep checking in more numbers, and then there's even more, and now the number game that you stacked up doesn't exactly add up any longer.
Well, that's if one person is taking multiple party lines. If you have multiple people taking every different line, then you truly, as a voter, you have many more choices.
I love.
Okay, now you touched on the supervisor, Jenny. Now we can touch on the councilman running for the town of Huntington.
Well, we have
This,
another one. You're going to want to back up. If there's no primary on those. Those are the people who are running, but we can get to them after the primary, after Tuesday. I think it's more important to let people know on the primaries, which is going to be the Tracy Edwards, Daryl St. George. So if you're a registered Democrat, you'll come out for that. Then there's the 18th Legislative District. That's the Independence Party line. We also touched on that on our last episode because that is Dom Spada and Doc Spencer. Doc Spencer is he's a registered Democrat. Dom Spada is a registered Independence Party member. What's interesting here is I got a robocall probably about 2 hours before we came on for tonight's show, and it was a recorded voice from Dr. Spencer stating that he had the full backing of the Independence Party, and which is just crazy to me that he said that, because he's basically now throwing Don McKay, I'm sorry, Mr. McKay, who's the guy who's in charge of the Independence Party, under the bus for being a part of this party fusion that we're seeing going on. Then you have on the Reform Party line, you have a Dom Spada is trying to go on that line. Chad Lupinacci is trying to get that line. Ed Smith and Jim Leonick. Ed Smith and Jim Leonick are both town council members. So for the legislative district, if you are a registered Independence Party member, you can vote in the 18th legislative district for either Doc Spencer, who's actually a Democrat, or Dom Spada, who's an Independence Party member. And then this is where we get really crazy, the Reform Party line. How much do you guys know about this? Because this is like the first time this is happening in history.
Not much.
I know briefly, only because I saw a picture on someone's page about the Reform Party. It was very interesting. But they all look the same, so I wasn't that interested in it. But I think you should explain what the Reform really means, because to me it just looks like another Republican Party.
So this was just explained. Well, yeah, because these are the people who's on the line. However, this is where it gets crazy. It's the first of its kind because it's an opportunity to ballot. Okay, so the Reform line, any one of us can go and vote, as long as you're not voting for, like, I can't go and vote for Tracy and Daryl as a Democrat in the primary and try to do this as well. Okay, so you only get one vote for the supervisor for the Reform line, is what I'm saying. However, you're allowed to write in anyone you want. So it's so crazy. It's an opportunity to ballot. It's the first time ever. So Dom is on the 18th, right? Dom Spada. Chad Lupinacci's in there for the supervisor's position. And then you've got Ed Smith and Jim Leonick, who are both running for town council. You can write in anybody you want. And because there's so many very little people who know about this, you could technically get a fifth person to run for the supervisor's position.
In a write-in.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a write-in. You can write in anybody you want on the Reform line. To me, this is just insane. Like crazy out of insane. So anyways, we can all come out and we can all vote for any one of these guys who's already on here. Or we could write in you could write in anybody you want. You could force somebody to run. I could literally force Gene Cook to run if I wanted to.
That would be awesome. Is that what this means? This paper from the Suffolk County Board of Elections, when it says here, where my finger is, opportunity to ballot.
Yeah, opportunity to ballot. You got to look it up. It's the coolest thing ever. But means, this is the first time this is happening with us. And it's like this, it's crazy. It's this opportunity that you didn't see coming. You know what I mean? So there's the 18th supervisor or town board. You could get anybody you want on the town board. Anyone. Dana, I could write you in.
So please don't.
I know. But I could, you know? And then you could tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends, and next thing you know, you're kicking some lawyer off the ticket, and you're sitting in town board going, oh my God, I can't believe I'm sitting here at town board now. So
how did I get here?
how do I second anything? Like, how does this work?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So clean up and start working on some ethics.
But it's how you can get people in who are totally not even part of the political process, party of anything. It's a way to circumvent. It's an window. It's an opportunity of everything we've been talking about that we abhor in local politics. The cross endorsing, the how you basically have to be a performing monkey for the party leaders to get the nod and to get the cross endorsement and all the. And then you need money. You have to have money, because if you don't have money to feed their machine, you're not getting anything. But this is an opportunity for just a regular person, and I mean, if they can really get their shit together by Tuesday and get it out there, you can get anybody you want on this ballot at this point with this information.
And what I find so disgraceful, and I hope that the people that are watching this can understand, is these are the people that work for us, and the lying, the cheating, the absolute abomination of ethics by, I'm going to say 99% of them lawyers, it's outstanding. And we just sit at home, we sit on Facebook, we go about with our lives and take care of our family and work 3 jobs to, pay our bills. We know nothing about this stuff. We know nothing.
Yeah.
But you can't, but you have to say, whose fault is that you know nothing? We have to take some personal responsibility as well, because my attitude is that if you have somebody running your government, I'm not talking about, national politics. I'm just speaking solely on local politics. It's your responsibility as somebody within the community to know what's going on. You can't fault anybody else because we didn't know X, Y, and Z. You have your own, you have to take accountability for what you don't know. You live here. So my thing is, what annoys me is that you go in these different various groups and you hear people dragging certain politicians all the time. But when it comes to the election, did you vote? Oh, I missed that time. So then why you really can't complain. You haven't done anything. You don't have the information. You didn't even bother to vote. So why are you talking? We have to take some personal accountabilities ourselves, because let's face it, whoever's in town hall right now, whether they're corrupt or not, or whether they should have been dismissed, we have to look at the people, because somebody keeps putting them in office. And this is based on votes. So somebody's doing something. So
and the lack of votes.
Right. So is it, can we really fault the politicians? Because basically what we're saying is, we'll make a big stink. We'll talk about this one. We'll talk about that one. But at the end of the day, we'll let the corruption slide, because they end up back in the seat right now. They end up back in their seat.
It's a double-edged sword, because,
they're well organized too. I think that it's unfair to say that it's all just us, because we've seen some really close elections. They are a well-oiled machine. They have been doing this their whole lives. They know the game. We're just learning the game they know.
They're not going to teach us their lies. They're not going to teach us their shenanigans. They're not going to teach us their foul play. If you have a brain in your head, you can figure out the general, logistics of how everything works. But
let's go over the sheriff. I mean, this is a perfect opportunity. So just for the background
about lawyers.
Speaking about lawyers, okay, so the town of Huntington, like the Three Musketeer Squad, it used to be Stu Besson, believe it or not, blown because they're all in together. And Mark Cuthbertson, who he's on the ballot. Okay, he's another white lawyer, but he's a Democrat, so he must be great, right? He's totally full of diversity. Bullshit, he's just another one of them, okay? So his very good friend Stu Besson is running now. So he used to be a town of Huntington council person, okay? He was replaced. He was voted out. Then they turned around and they tried to give him a $50,000 a year no-show job. And the community came out in a big way and they fought it. And there's links to all this online, okay? He was the guy who was responsible for handling the term limit case, and he lost it. Boo-hoo, such a good lawyer. I'm sure that wasn't a hard loss. And so he's now running for sheriff. Okay, so when you realize the background on this guy, and if you remember the one, what did we tell you guys? We showed you last when we did our episode 1, that letter from Steve Levy saying we'll just put a lawyer in, we'll get him a judgeship, and then we'll slip somebody else in. And Stu's definitely put his time clock in for the Democrats. There's no doubt about it. So yeah, to a certain extent, they definitely play a game, and this game is very hard to explain to people. Lisa, touch on what you learned about the sheriffs today.
Okay, so I did some looking, and I found this ad most recently in Newsday, and it states Suffolk County Sheriff primary reeks of the political swamp. We have a man named Lawrence Zacharis and Phil Boyle, who are the candidates in the Republican primary for Suffolk County Sheriff. And then we also have Stu Besson now, who is running. Would you like me to read this really quick?
Yes.
For the people who are watching?
Yes.
All right. I'm just going to read the article in case no one has seen it or you don't get Newsday. If you don't subscribe, you can't read it. Lawrence Zacharis and Phil Boyle, candidates, calling all Republican voters in Suffolk County. If you want to drain the swamp at home, we're with you. And you can start Tuesday with the GOP primary for county sheriff, a race that represents everything that stinks about politics in Suffolk. Your vote is an opportunity to take a stand against party bosses who rig races, against cross-endorsement scams that rob all voters of real choices, against backroom deals in which political leaders divide the spoils of victory, rewarding operatives with patronage jobs regardless of merit, like the nepotism party. This editorial is not a predictor of whom we would endorse in the general election. However, if you believe in honest and competitive elections and want to ensure that Suffolk voters have won in November, then vote for Lawrence Zacharis for sheriff in Tuesday Republican primary. Zacharis, the deputy chief of the Stony Brook University Police Department, is impeccably qualified. He has good ideas for the office and the county jail he would oversee. So does the party's designated candidate, State Senator Phil Boyle. Our recommendation is simply because a Boyle win Tuesday pretty much guarantees him victory in November, thanks to multi-party shenanigans. That deprives voters of the meaningful discussion of the sheriff's office and its role in local law enforcement that should occur over the next 8 weeks. The circumstances that set up Boyle's candidacy reek, and we should offend anyone who believes in elections of integrity and openness. Here's why. Boyle, who is a registered Republican, also is on the Conservative and Independence Party ballot lines in November. The Conservatives Party former county leader was a former corrections Lieutenant Edward Walsh, who was convicted by federal prosecutors
He's in prison
for conducting party business.
Wait, hold on. He's also the Conservative Party head. He was the head of the Conservative Party. That's important to know.
Okay. Including playing golf while he was supposed to be working at the jail. The evidence was supplied by current Sheriff Vincent DeMarco. In revenge, Mr. Walsh's party abandonment, DeMarco, a registered conservative, and selected Boyle. So we now have the specter of someone in federal prison attempting to run the local county jail, dictating who gets hired and demoted. The fact that Walsh's wife, ding, 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 works for Boyle, who has a history of hiring relatives, cronies, does not inspire confidence in his independence, despite his protestations.
Water.
Democratic County Leader Rich Schaefer has said DeMarco was a good sheriff and even considering giving him the nomination. But the job-hungry conservatives threatened to withhold their minor party line for Democratic candidate for judgeship. Has also praised Boyle and once said he was open to giving Boyle the Democratic line. That still might happen. And as of now, the Democratic candidate is attorney, get ready, Stuart Besson.
Oh, shocked face.
Who is not actively campaigning. It's more like he's in witness protection program. After the primary, Schaefer could choose Besson to run for a state judgeship. Are you kidding me? That would allow Boyle to run for sheriff virtually unopposed, unless he loses the GOP primary to Zacharis. With Zacharis on the GOP line, at least voters would get a real choice. Wow, that's a kick in the ass. Then there is a practical consideration. If it's important for you that Republicans maintain their razor-thin control of the state Senate, vote for Zacharis. If Boyle loses, he retains his seat at least for the next year left on his term. A Boyle victory would open his seat, and a Democrat could win a special election, as Christine Pellegrino did in May in a reliably GOP assembly district that overlaps Boyle's Senate seat. Don't let this stink bomb pass you by. Vote for Lawrence Zacharis for sheriff, blah, blah, blah. My head hurts.
It's everything we've been talking about, isn't it?
It's sickening. Mm-hmm. Absolutely sickening. And also, my question to you, Jenny and Dana and Lori, and to the viewers, if an attorney has a criminal record, like the attorney I just mentioned, how on earth can you run for a judgeship in Suffolk County and or a sheriffship that might just fall in your lap? Are you kidding me?
We have all sorts of undocumented criminals running for office because they have all this stuff pumped up in the system. I mean, I think about there, one of the largest one is being dragged across the finish line by two women and nobody even knows he's running. We all know who that is.
Unbelievable.
Well,
Lori,
sorry. I will say that this.
Are you sad?
I just, every time I hear these things, I just get I get very angry because I feel like, they really take our town for a joke, and they really don't care what we want as the people. Us for a joke. Honestly, yeah, they don't really value. It's like a chess game, and then we're all the pawns, even though we make up the majority. We're all the pawns, and they do what's best for them.
Yes.
And that really annoys me. I'll tell you this as somebody who is currently studying law now. If the person in question did commit a crime, I don't think, especially if he's a lawyer, I'm pretty sure he covered his tracks, or he has someone else to cover his tracks. So we wouldn't really be able to pin it down. I don't think that he'd be running around like with an open felony or even a misdemeanor, because, that would definitely look bad on him and then the people that are sponsoring him as well. So I'm sure he cleaned that up. My question, what frustrates me is that if it was me, Lori, or Jenny, we would be so far under the jail. If we even got, even if we got pulled over, everybody would know why we got pulled over. You know what I mean? But these people, because they have a little bit of money or they have a little bit of connections or whatever the case may be, they're allowed to do whatever they want.
I just want to remind somebody of an older article really quick. Our first video, we were still learning the screen sharing thing, so I hope I'm successful with this one. Doesn't look like it's going to work right now. There was, do you guys remember the Circle of Influence that was done by Newsday with Mark Cuthbertson? And it was an article called The Insiders. Do you remember all that?
Yes, with all their pictures. Yep.
Yeah. You remember all that, right? So if you look at that, the common theme there is it's all attorneys, all lawyers, all people like what we've been talking about, and they're using the system in a different way. In this particular story, it was about people being forced into or going into bankruptcy and then assigning a receiver. I think Gary Melius was assigned as the receiver, and shortly after that he got shot. Like, that's where a lot of this drama completely extended from. And Richie Schaefer is the name who keeps coming up. Now, Lori, I want to punt it back to you really quick, because earlier you had said that you wanted to touch on the shenanigans going on in the 18th district. And I have, in the last 24 hours, and I did share one on my wall, gotten 2 phone calls from the Islip Democrats. Islip Democrats telling me to vote for Doc Spencer. What's the connection there? Richie Schaefer's from there. So they're putting those monies into Huntington because they're very concerned about this race. They're basically trying to knock Dom Spada off the ballot before he ever gets a chance to run. Because if they take that independence line from him, that's exactly what they're doing. But this is all. So then the other one I got was from Suffolk County Democrats. And that was the one with the recorded voice from Spencer letting us all know he's been endorsed by the party head. Laura, you want to go ahead and explain some of your experience with what's been going on in that arena?
Well, and I think the other thing, the first time I saw it was on Facebook, because I sent a note to Trish and Islip, because it's just so offensive. Going back to what Dana brought up about the accountability, I completely agree that we all need to be held accountable, to be, active and partake in all of our civic responsibilities. But I'm going to make a point here that unless we get the system fixed, like the cross endorsements, no matter how responsible you might be and plugged in, it's a shell game. It happens really fast. So you all are touching on things that I hope everybody that listens to us understands and starts talking about it with people, because opportunity with social media, with these types of, with Google Hangout, with YouTube, we really have to stand up, because they do not care about us. We are pawns. And it is time that we really get as much information out as possible, because it is up to us. If we don't get a little outraged, nothing will change. So I have my reasons for wanting Dom, right? And we all can relate to people on different levels, but I'm raising a young child in Huntington. I can really relate to him, and I really see what he's done. And I think that actions speak volumes, right? I often say sometimes to people, I can't hear a word you're saying because your actions are speaking so goddamn loud. Yeah. So to see this happen to somebody where he might not get an opportunity to serve is appalling. Appalling. I'd like to know, I'll turn it back to you all. Has anybody called the Independence Party just to kind of get a sense of, hey, Doc, what are you referencing here? Because that takes that to a whole other level. So if you're not shy about bending the truth and you'll record it and send it out, I'm like really concerned.
But you really need to address the crux of the problem here, and that is that the Independence Party is non-existent. It's non-existent.
When it comes to the number, It comes with a number.
Right. And because there's no one at the helm, all you have to do is go out and secure a certain amount of signatures, and then you can literally get a true party member off the ballot. So when, you're saying you have the blessing of the party, you don't have the blessing of the party because they're not having meetings. They're not having any of that at all. If I was a notary public, I could go out and garner enough signatures as a blank to primary somebody on this line as it stands right now. I mean, it's too late now. You had to have your signatures in by a certain date. But the truth of the matter is anybody can get on that line. It's not a true party line. Here, I found what I was looking for. So I just want to take you back to that feeling of outrage that you were talking about before.
Yeah, and while you're bringing that up, you see, that's exactly it. Because so now somebody who says, I'm going to vote and I'm going to be active and I'm being responsible, right? Going back to Dana's accountability. And they have a sense of, this man demonstrated propriety on this call. He has the backing of the Independence Party. There it is. You thought you had information. You're taking action on it. It's really irresponsible, and I find it completely unethical.
So we all did learn last week about the Independence Party, which is pretty much run out of Ohika. And Mr. Gary Melius, he owns that. He's part of this whole The Insiders with all these other peoples. This is an attorney. I'm sorry, he's a judge. Cuthbertson, he is, in fact, I believe he was Frank Petrone's attorney at one point. I may be wrong on that, but this is the town of Huntington councilman, Mr. Mark Cuthbertson. Wayland, he's a judge, and then of course you got to keep it all in the family, so we know whose daughter that is. And Emily Pines, she's another judge. These are all, it's the story of judges and lawyers. And just one more thing I wanted to point out, that this is the Huntington Matters Facebook page. And they have a call out for registered Democrats to vote in the September 12th primary. And, the world, according to them, you would think that there is no other primary going on in the world. And the Independence Party,
is that what?
No, but the Independence Party is a very important primary. But even more so, when you want to talk about empowering people to vote, the Reform Party, like getting that information out to people, we could be putting people on the ballot.
But here's the problem, okay? I hear everybody continuously talk about Rich Schaefer and what he does. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think about him. He has his stuff down pat. He's always had his stuff down pat. So if he wants his candidate to win, if you go check his list, they're going to win because he does what he has to do. So now we have to look at who are the other party leaders. And why is it that you cannot run powerful candidates? So don't tell me that, this is a big conspiracy and Rich Schaefer does. No, Rich Schaefer does what he has to do for his party to ensure that their candidates get what the outcome is, which is to win. So why aren't the other candidates? If the Independence Party does not have any meetings or doesn't have anybody, going to it, whose fault is that? Every registered independent should be upset, crying out, making sure things are heard. I don't hear anything. My children,
they're not that involved,
right?
Because when they go, they don't understand that they're not truly a independent voter. It's the Independence Party, but they're not an independent voter. The only true independent voter is a person who is not affiliated with a political party at all.
Right.
Blank.
Yes, blank. Call us blanks.
No party affiliation.
Right. I mean that. Yeah. But if he doesn't, if there's no meetings or anything like that, I mean, and like you said, Jenny, all you have to do is create a few signatures, get a few signatures, and you can claim the line. Doc Spencer, he's been in this game for a little bit, for some time. He's pretty seasoned. I don't think that he would claim something that isn't true. I would like to see him definitely go head to head with Spada, because I will say this: I did not know much about Dom Spada. I was reading about him recently, and it was something on Facebook. I think, Laura, you were on the same thread that I was on, And I said, I don't know about either men politically, but they're all good men. They're both good men. No, I said I don't care for either of them politically, but they're
Didn't he?
both good men. And what I liked about Dom Spada is that he messaged me back right away.
Didn't he offer for you to call him?
Yes, and you would think. No, I wanted to do this one first and then see how. And you would think Doc Spencer, who I know, would pick who would have just chimed in to say, thank you. Never said a word. But Dom Spada came out and made sure that he said, anytime you want to talk, anytime you want to sit down, I'm open. And that's what I look for when I go to vote. How accessible are you? How much do you know about my community? How willing are you to hear my thoughts? So that right there turned my ear and my eyes to start looking to see, well, hey, let's see what this Spada is really about. Because if he had, and you guys know, I'm not the prissy type. I'm going to ask you the head-on questions. If he was willing to open up and have a conversation with me, then I'm definitely willing to hear what he has to say.
I think a lot also what we see with some of the people who they run for office and then they disappear, or they run for some other obscure office and they lose until they, get their prize in the end. Dom has been around. He was with the Be Smart, Don't Start program for a long time. He's been involved in the community. And I have to say, even if he was to not win, I don't see him fading into the background. I was a big fan of Mark Mayoka because he helped us a lot during the Avalon Bay fight, but he's nowhere to be found. I mean, and that says a lot to me. It really does. You were only in office when it was, I was never elected. I'm all over Facebook. This woman called me parsley. Because you remember that? They called me parsley because I'm all over the place. You don't disappear just because you get knocked down and you lose once. If you truly care about your community, you are out there all the time.
I agree. Go ahead, Lori.
I guess I'm just still so frustrated that somebody like Doc Spencer I'm outraged. I feel like it's abusive because to say that about that you have the backing of the Independence Party and you know what you're doing, right? It's misleading. Okay. So no crime has been committed, but to me, it sends a message that the means justify the end, and that you're not really that important. And the other thing is, I feel a lot of people will look at their political affiliation nationally and think that it transcends locally, right? So that happened to me early on in my journey, right? So I got really plugged in for the last 15 years on the national level. But because of the cross endorsements, there's no similarity. It's not analogous. There's a danger here in not getting people to really understand that your core values, and I am a registered member of a party, right? So I'm not a blank, I'm not independent, and that's because of how I felt nationally. But it prevents me, right? So learn the value of, I can't do this in this primary. I really hope that this ignites more of a conversation for other people to join in, because if everybody, like you said, you tell two friends and I'll tell two friends, it has to be organic, because there are good people. And I know Doc Spencer is a good person. I'm not saying that, but this system has to change. Is a handful of states. And
you got to also look at the big picture. If Doc Spencer wins this primary, a Democrat challenging an Independence Party member, we don't have a choice at the ballot box. I want to make that decision. I don't want somebody making that decision for me. I want us to have a chance to vote for either of these two men on our own. But if Doc wins this independence line, we don't have that choice. The election's over, and that's so unfair to the voters.
in my opinion, it's not just unfair, it's cowardly. Are you so afraid that you can't
It's
run on your
dirty.
own merits? I mean, give me a break.
I mean, we all know, politics is not fair. I just want to piggyback on what Lori was talking about, which I think Jenny and you and I have had this conversation as well. People definitely have to separate your national politics with your local politics. Just like you, Lori, I'm not an independent. I am registered to a certain party. And I will say that, especially with this election and how things went down in my party, it has made me seek more information. And it really makes me question what is going on, because we're really being lied to. I was with my mom and she was food shopping in Stop and Shop. And when we came out, they were handing out flyers for Ed Smith. And I watched in my car who they handed these flyers out to. So they're handing the flyers, handing the flyers. Then a little short man came in. He had a yellow NAACP hat. They didn't give him the flyer. Then I saw another lady come in. She was a younger black woman with her 4 children. They didn't give them the flyer. Then my mom came out. They gave her the flyer. You see what I'm saying? So it's like and then when I go to question them about, like, why would you be handing out these things without giving it to everyone? If you want to be so transparent, you want to be so, oh, we embrace diversity. I saw you with my own 2 eyes give and be very selective who you want to give the information to. That's another sign for me to say, no, we have to definitely question what's going on. I don't mind you running a race, and I don't mind you putting up qualified candidates. And I don't mind you doing, you get whatever you have to get out, but be fair. You can't be selective, because that's letting me know I'm looking at what's going on. No one's telling me this. And I actually put it up on my Facebook page, but my mom asked me to put it down. And everybody who knows me knows my mom is my girl. So she's probably the only person, her and my dad, that will make me put something down on a post. She just felt as though that was too much. So I did comply. But to me, you're already telling me something. So while I may agree with my party on a national level for the majority of things, I certainly don't agree with them on my local level, because they don't benefit people that look like me.
And with the Reform Party line, we have a chance to make a real difference. I mean, we could get Jennifer Thompson back on the line if we wanted to. There's so many possibilities here. There really is so many possibilities. We could send a big, and I'm going to say it, fuck you to the GOP locally here in Huntington. We could send that message to them with what they did to us with Gene Cook, and because of Jennifer Thompson. They need to have a message sent to them. They need to hear from people, because when you're living in a town that is heavily Democrat, and you need to get them off the ballot, the only ones you can really rely on is the Republican Party. And if they're sleeping with the Democrats, you're screwed. So we have a huge opportunity here to get anybody we want on. We can get our women back on this ticket.
Oh, stop.
Can I just
actually have some diversity?
What? As my son would say, what?
I mean, it's something, and I hope it happens organically. I think people really do what's in their heart and realize that you don't have to vote for the choices that you're being given. You're being given a window of opportunity here to be the change that you want to see on your ballot, So I don't know. What do you guys say?
Can we recap the Reform Party, just so that I can be clear, and hopefully somebody else is thinking like me, because they just don't understand. So are we saying that the Reform Party does have a primary on Tuesday, and not what you see on Huntington Matters, that it's all just Democrat primary, that there's a possibility for the members in Huntington or our community to vote for somebody on the primary party in the vote for somebody on the Reform Party line in the primaries on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yes.
I know
Not
right now
just Democrat.
I'm not a Demo. Yeah. And I got to say, Huntington Matters, I'm not allowed to post on your wall. Maybe this is why I'm not allowed to post on their group. They banned me because I know too. It's just so silly. They tell me you can use your husband's account. It's so stupid. I want to speak for myself, not through my husband. Let's get that clear. But they've got it on their page that it's like just the Democrat primary. There isn't just a Democrat primary. My husband is a registered independence member. He will be voting for Mr. Dom Spada in the primary. He's a sitting fire chief, and he's just been so involved in our community. I have to say, somebody else that I would completely try to vote on the reform line or get on, Andre Sorrentino. The Republicans really screwed up with that one as well. And I need to get that out because he was up. I was at the party that Tony Teep endorsed all these people until the shit hit the fan with Jennifer Thompson, and then the ticket fell apart, and then she put up all these other people, okay? Andre Sorrentino was supposed to be running for supervisor of highways. He was supposed to be running, and he would have won. This is a guy who's very active in our community, and it's like they put up this losing ticket. But my husband's going to be voting for Dom. I am going in on the reform line. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll put it up on my Facebook page. I haven't decided which two women. I'm definitely leaning towards Marilyn McDermott and Jennifer Thompson to get them back on the ticket, because that's how it was supposed to be. And I might even write in Jean Cook just to screw with the GOP some more. They need it. This is the party that didn't even support their presidential candidate. I had to stalk them with my phone to get a little sign up for the election. Sorry.
And
I have a
what
question.
go ahead, Lori.
So maybe I know that we had a few folks see our first show, right? And maybe there is one of those folks that we've already mentioned listening that might actually feel a little bit re-engaged and enthused, and hopefully they'll ping us or ping one of us tonight, and then maybe we can socialize that, and in, I don't know, 2 days maybe make a difference.
It would be very interesting. We already know the Democrats have their stuff together, so we kind of gotta, we're gonna have to try next go round because they already have their things together. They know what they're doing. As far as the Republican Party goes, that's where we have to really look at the Republican and Independence Party. The Republicans, because they have no diversity whatsoever. And when you say the word diversity, I always know who I'm talking to when they immediately think of race. Diversity is not just race. The Republican Party should offend anybody that is a woman, anybody that is not wealthy, anybody that is not a white male. All these things should offend you because that is what the ticket is. Now, Gene, and this is one of the reasons why I have always loved Gene, is because he's a stand-up kind of guy. He saw what was going on. He said, I'm not going to run this. I'm leaving if you do what you have to do. And he left. And then Chad jumped in. Chad also had the opportunity to say, I'm not going on this ticket because he already has a seat in the state assembly, and
Right.
say, you know what? This doesn't look right. But by him going on saying, high five it to everybody, that's an indication to let everyone else know that lives within this community he's also not for diversity. And we need diversity. If you look at how the community is changing, we need diversity to run it effectively. Look
Not
at
only
how it's been
diversity, we
run
have no
before.
choice.
Chad
Yeah.
also, first of all, women just do a damn better job. Put me in there, all right? I'll whip that place into shape. But Chad
And
didn't even screen for the position. That says everything. Listen, I love Chad. I hate when people come. I know I'm going to be hearing from you, Elliot,
That's so
tomorrow. I
it's
know,
what it is.
but I love Chad. He's a great person. This has nothing to do with it. He did
It's not personal.
not. It's not personal. He didn't screen for the job. He filled the position after Gene left.
And he
So he
didn't
didn't
even
want it.
he didn't say anything. He
Right.
didn't say this is not right. He didn't say, but then you're going to go to the NAACP and expect and want people to vote with you. What are you, crazy? Who does that?
It's
Crazy
insane.
people. That's who does that. Crazy people do that. That's just like him going to the woman's line and secretly having something signed so that he could get in. And you don't have one woman on your ticket? Like, what do you think? Women, we're Sherlock Holmes. When we come out the womb, we investigate everything. We know everything. If something's wrong, we'll be like, let me go detect that. Hold on. And then we'll get our girlfriends and be like, we need to check this out. And Jenny and I have always pinged each other when it comes to politics, because she will hear something and she will call me. I will hear something and I will call her. So for that's, I just couldn't, for the life of me. I like Chad as a person, but I think this particular move that he made this political move he made is really going to
Hurt him.
Hurt
It's going to hurt him.
because
Even though
if
if he loses, he goes back to his seat. Unlike Tracy, who if she loses,
he has to be reelected. So he'll be there for a little while.
They're coming after him.
Right. Do you think people are going to forget?
No. They're vicious in this town.
We won't forget.
This is our football here in this town. This is our football politics.
And everyone always, I've constantly hear about the Edwards nepotism and having people in line. There were people in the family. I always hear that. I never hear about the Republicans' nepotism, because that's all in there. You got the mother, the son, the aunt, the uncle, the stepmother. Everybody's all in line. So if we're going to talk, if we're going to point fingers, let's point fingers at let's point fingers at everyone.
They take the table scraps. They're just as bad, but they're weaker. So they take all the table scraps that are left over, and they help as Tony's probably the biggest player there with making the deals behind closed door and making, certain people get jobs in certain, like the Board of Elections. That's a big patronage job. Huge. And it's basically a no-show job. They get in the morning. I spent like 3 months there when we did the voter integrity check after Patron and Jean, the last supervisor's race. Okay, we did that whole voter integrity check at 10 o'clock in the morning. They're all talking about what they're having for lunch. They got nothing else, but that's the highlight of their day is lunch.
Wouldn't you love that?
Oh my God, that's the cut. I mean, think about that's the job. Like, oh my God.
I would like to have that job.
Hi, I'm here. What's for lunch today?
Yeah, I would love
my biggest problem.
I would love that. But I think by us doing these type of videos and going live, we're able to speak for a lot of people who normally wouldn't be able to speak, or because we all represent different types of point of views as far as politically goes. And I think it helps people, because I got a lot of feedback from the first one that we did, and it gave people a lot of information. And I think that's what we need to do. If somebody's not doing what they have to do, let's work on removing them. The Democrats, forget them. Just stop talking about them. Rich Schaefer has it in down pack. They know what they're doing. Let's focus on the Republican Party and the Independence Party. If there even is an Independence Party, because I don't really know what's going on over there.
And the leadership at the Republican Party, guys, you registered Republican people, get your shit together. You need new leadership over there. You need new leadership that actually speaks for what the Republicans are. You don't want to be labeled as the party of white people and men, white men. Get your shit together. Start picking your women. Your women are good. Put them forth.
Yeah, I mean,
we don't need any more good old boys clubs.
No, and I'm not talking about Tony either. I'm not talking about the usual suspects. Tony used to be the supervisor of the town of Huntington. It was Tony Retaliata. She lost, oh my God, Daniel Carpin. I went fishing with him, and he was telling me about the rat files. They used to send letters to the editor back when, and this lost her the election, was all these letters they were putting out, and they were calling it the rat files, and they were ratting her out. Tony Retiliata Teep or whatever, but that needs to be dealt with. That needs to, I'm sorry, we need new blood. Just like we need term limits, we need to term out some of these party leaders too.
I agree. I think that's a good idea. Very good idea.
Drain the swamp.
Oh, drain it all over.
The swamp.
And we need to fix the system. So while the people piece is really important and the leadership of the parties and everybody getting more engaged and getting out there to vote, the system is still broken. So that is, I know that's really hard, but for
No,
me,
it's not. It's
that's
not hard, Lori. It's not hard. People just
Yeah,
have
but you
to
need people on
understand.
the inside elected to fix it from the inside out. We're never going to get the election and campaign reform if we don't get the people voted in that'll do it.
yep.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I
So
think
we all writing in Jennifer Thompson on Tuesday.
I'm not saying that so she can kill me.
Oh my God! I'm gonna.
So
Better be ready.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing
I
it.
have to share a joke because we need a little levity.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my 11-year-old was watching the Green Bay Packers game, and he said, "Wow," he goes, "football players really have a great life. They make a lot of money. They don't work a full year." And he turned to me and he said, "Mom, they got it better than Congress."
Nice.
Smart
nice.
kid. Smart kid. Very
Good.
smart.
Good boy.
Very smart. That's funny. I like that one.
Right?
And he's right, really. But we'll leave that for another topic.
All right.
Well,
So Lori, since you did our intro this time, you want to go ahead and wrap it up because we're at our hour point, and it's amazing how quickly this hour
It
does go
is.
with you ladies.
gosh, I hate that it goes so
I'd love-
fast.
I know. I
Oh, and
love
don't forget, we're going to be back here on Tuesday. We are going to be back, and we're going to watch the returns come in. So we're not sure how many of our, just if I could go ahead and let everybody know, the reason it took so long between episodes is because with the schedules between going back to school, and it's very hard for 4 women who are as wonderfully strained out as we are to try to mesh 4 schedules together. So it did take a while, but we're not sure who's going to be here. It'll be most of us, we hope. I know I'll be here because I have the control panel, but if one of us can't show or shows up late, that's fine too. But the next time we are coming to you live with the returns from the primary this Tuesday, starting probably around 9:45.
Yay.
Great.
I think that's
Excellent.
I'm
cool.
really excited.
Yes, I'm excited as well. I think this is something that we needed because I always look for something when it comes to like voting and getting the real issues out. I always look for somebody that I could relate to because then I know that, okay, I know that this person has the same likes, so not the same exact likes. We have things in common, so I think this is really something. We have something here. Like I said, I got a lot of buzz about it, which I was surprised. I was a little nervous because I don't mind speaking amongst us 4, but this is anybody could see this. But
The only feedback I got is that it was too long. And I explained to them we're a show, we're not a tweet.
Right.
And there's a lot of content, but also as a reminder to people, you can come back and watch these shows in your time. You could watch 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. That's why we put them in the format that we did on YouTube, to where you get to decide when you watch it, how long you watch it. As long as you find something of value here, we're going to keep doing these shows for you.
Exactly. I know I've learned a lot, and I hope that other people will take something out of this, learn something, because this is not easy. This is
No,
not
it's
easy
not.
stuff.
It's not.
No. So
I gotta
maybe
go get some
that's
Excedrin.
maybe that's the wrap up, right? Let's talk about anybody that's listening to the show, whether it's now live or when it's taped. If you have any ideas or things that you really have questions about, listen, I know these ladies, and brevity is none of our strong suits. That said, we are very passionate. And so I think as we go forward, like anything else, right, we'll probably get a little bit more to the point. But for now, it really is. It's a conversation. We're looking for input. So by all means, reach out to us. We want to hear, and we want to make it meaningful for everyone because it is your time. But I want to wish all the candidates good luck for the primary, right? So a lot of good people, whether I like this one or that one or you all, it takes somebody to be very brave to run for office. So I don't agree with the way the system works today, but good luck to all the candidates. I hope everybody listening tonight not only votes, but take a couple of friends and have them bring a couple of friends and get the pens out And if you like somebody and you want to reach out to anybody, maybe, just maybe, we could make an impact on that reform line. So thanks, Jenny, for bringing that up. And that's really it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Ladies, you want to weigh in and a wrap up? Any other points that we missed? You want to drive home?
Good luck to everybody except for you people that keep calling me. Stop calling me from Islip. Islip, stay out of Huntington's politics. Thank you.
Stay in your own town.
Enjoy the view. You know.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Good night.